5 years ago, I installed this diesel heater in our self-converted Sprinter van, and since then it's done around 4,500 hours. It's had no service, no love, no care, no attention. It's just worked unbelievably. But today, it's time to stop tempting fate. We need to get it out and get it swapped out. Now there's two reasons why we've chosen to swap the diesel heater out. One, the controller's stopped working properly. It won't hold the time and we can't set a timer on it, so we have to wake up in the middle of the night and turn it on, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. Now you might be thinking, well, why don't you just swap out the controller? I've tried that. The new controllers are ever so slightly different to the old controller and therefore doesn't talk to this heater properly. So for the sake of 76 quid, we're going to swap it out. The second reason is the UK government have actually banned this diesel heater. So I grabbed the part number of the existing diesel heater, threw it into Google, and lo and behold, it took me to the government's website. From a quick scan, it looks as if the government have banned the diesel heater from being imported into the UK due to inadequate installation instructions and therefore could be installed incorrectly and cause asphyxiation. I think it was down to more the installation instructions to why they were banned, because the lack of information on how to install these units properly. Whether they've just made, I haven't even looked at the instructions to be honest, but whether they've made amendments to the installation instructions, then that would probably make sense, to be honest. Now as you can see, it's absolutely filthy under here. So all I've ever done is really cleaned the air inlet this end, and that's kept it going quite nicely. But yeah, we need to have a good tidy up under here, start disassembling all of this. Morning, Winnie. So for anyone wondering what 4,500 hours of runtime looks like on the outside, not look too bad, to be honest. A little bit of dirt from where Winnie sits at our feet. The actual unit itself doesn't look too dissimilar to the actual unit, the new unit that I've bought. So, so far so good. Let's get underneath and start stripping it. So just to take you through exactly what's going on, this is the exhaust. This should be connected to here and it's literally corroded off. This has gone really nasty. The air intake also snapped off at some point and that's just here loose. But apart from that, fuel filter looks actually really good. The thing that looks really good is a braided hose that I fitted originally. That will stay. So I think I'm going to clamp off this hose. I'm hoping to reuse the wiring loom as well. I assume it's the same. It looks the same. It's got the same amount of cores and everything, so fingers crossed we can just literally unplug all the auxiliary equipment including the heater away, reinstall, plug back in, and should be golden. Right, that's the diesel lines disconnected, which this little sandwich bag clip here is so far holding it and stopping diesel going over my parents-in-law's driveway, which is very, very good. So just going to undo these bolts under the heater now. Those ones up in there. And pull the unit out. Right, and that should be the diesel heater loose, so we're now going to try and remove it. As I said, this is not set up. I haven't touched it in 5 years. Since I installed it in sort of like April 2019, I installed this. So yeah, interesting. It's all come apart fairly well. A few rusted Jubilee clips and stuff to be expected, I guess. But apart from that, I'm actually pretty impressed, to be honest, being that these get a bit of a, do get slated online, but I mean, maybe we've just got lucky with this one, and maybe people in the comments will tell me different, but as far as I'm concerned with this one, I've been chuffed as nuts with this. We have it, one Chinese diesel here. This ran approximately between 4,500 and 5,000 hours. Doesn't look too bad there. Genuinely doesn't look too bad there. Get that off. Yeah, look at that, bloody hell. Really doesn't look too bad. I will do a separate video on, I'm going to strip this one down and give you a good review, go over electrical connections, the inlets, the outlets, and have a look at the burner chamber, and give everyone a good review, because I think there's reviews online, but it's people that have just installed them and maybe the heater's ran for like 10 hours or something, but this one's had a hard life, I can promise you that. We've done a lot with this heater, so yeah, it'd be good to get it stripped apart and see what a 75 quid heater looks like after 4.5 to 5,000 hours, especially for people that are now heating their homes with these. I think it'd be really interesting for them to see what the sort of hours that you can do. Maybe we just got lucky with this one. I keep saying that because maybe that's the case, but yeah, I mean, this one will probably go on for another couple thousand hours, I would say. So here's the old one with the red rubber, and here's the new. As you can see, apart from they're obviously the other way at the moment, they're pretty much identical. One thing I forgot to mention here is that the new diesel heater clearly has a CE marking. And this is really important because it shows that the product has met EU safety, health and environmental requirements and is legal for trade on the single market in the European Economic Area. I put that way. They're identical. The cable comes out of a different side on this one to this one. But yeah, they are, even down to the mouldings on the plastic, exactly the same colour, inlet, air, exactly the same signage here, and the plugs are exactly the same by the looks of it. Yep, they look exactly the same. So this is all the stuff that comes with them. Set of gloves, they're like children's gloves, they're definitely not going to fit me. Yeah, a more intense booklet of manufacturer's instructions. If I remember rightly, when I did this originally, it was literally just a sheet of paper. So this is probably the reason why it's got round health and safety, quite possibly. I don't know, but quite possibly. Don't need that because I'm going to leave the one that's already in there. There's nothing wrong with it. New air inlet, don't need that. New exhaust, definitely need that. Don't need the fuel pipe. Do I put the new pump on? The existing pump's fine. I'll check the part number against it, but I'm half tempted to leave the existing pump in. There's nothing wrong with it. It seems to work fine. And to be honest with you, it's a bit of a sod to do because I don't want the diesel draining back into the fuel tank, and then I'm going to have to reprime everything. So I'm half tempted to leave that. If it does need changing, of course I will, but it's just a bit of a sod to prime. And as far as I can see on the wiring loom, it looks exactly the same as well. I'm going to double check that now. Put this camera on charge and then we'll have a go. I had a good look at the loom and there are some differences. I checked all the pins, they all seem the same. The cable runs up. I've got all this exposed at the moment because I've been redoing the ceiling, but I've got this exposed, so there's a cable that runs to our diesel heater controller here. What I will do is I'm going to risk it, I'm going to fit it, see if it runs. If it doesn't, then I'm going to have to mess about the loom, which isn't the end of the world. It's just a case of these through crimps here that have been heat shrunk. It's just a case of tapping the new loom into those. So it's really not the end of the world, but yeah, it would just be a lot easier if I don't have to do that. So I think we're going to try and get the heater in, get it connected, and do a bit of a run and see what it does. If it doesn't like it, then we're going to have to start messing around with some cables, which isn't the end of the world. There she is, poking through. So I'm just going to grab some nuts now, do up these four. We'll look at getting this fuel line, connected. Reason I'm going to leave this pump in for the minute is, as I previously said, one, there's nothing wrong with it, and two, it's a 5 kilowatt output pump, which means the heater output will be 5 kilowatts. The pump that I've bought is an 8 kilowatt, which means it will pump more fuel into the heater to give an 8 kilowatt output. The 5 is already too hot, to be honest, for the van, so I definitely don't want 8. So I can get away with reusing this one, then I will, because the heat output is absolutely fine as it is. I don't want it to be any bigger. I could have bought one with a 5, but it wasn't the same grey colour, and I wanted the grey colour heater, which is pathetic, but yeah, I wanted the grey one. I think the red one was a 5 kilowatt and I didn't want red, so yeah, let's set you up on a time lapse and let's get these nuts on. Now my plan here is just to get the fuel connected for a minute, not do the air inlet or the exhaust, see if it'll prime with the new controller and then see if it'll run. I know the air inlet will be open, there's no dust or anything, I'm on the driveway here, so it shouldn't pull up too much shit. And yeah, I mean, saying that, my old one's been running without an air filter for best part of 18 months and it was okay. So yeah, let's get this fuel line connected and then we'll see if she'll fire up. So this is what the yeah, this literally, the exhaust had snapped off in there. Oh, inside, I don't know if you'll be able to see inside. Inside is pretty nasty, to be honest with you. Yeah, and this is pretty bad. So yeah, that's what 5 years looks like, and salty roads and zero maintenance. Anyway, I'm going to connect up the new controller to here now. I'm just going to put it in Wagos temporarily, again, because if there's any issues I can quickly whip it back out. I should add as well, Tash and I live in the van all the time. We will be in it tonight, and at the moment it's lovely days but very cold by night. It got down to -1, -2 last night, so this heater really needs to be working by this evening, otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. And now we've just got the main plug down here. Just going to connect that now and then we'll be ready to fire. Well, something's happening. I just quickly went through the instructions just to make sure I haven't missed anything. We seem to be all good. The controller is currently saying H3. I think that's heat mode 3. Now I like to use degrees Celsius temperature control, so that'll be changed at some point. But the heater, the fan is blowing. Just got to see if this pump ticks now. It will need to prime a little bit because obviously I had that sandwich clasp on this, so it's got sort of 50mm of pipe and the pipe bore is about 4mm ID, so it's got a little bit to prime but nothing silly, so hopefully I don't have to go through a priming sequence. Once this is up and running and we can prove it and it's warm, I'll then tidy up all the cabling, install the exhaust, install the air inlet, tidy up the pipe work underneath. Pump is clicking. Clicking away. I can smell diesel. It smells new. I can smell the new smell as well. I only get out from under here before I gas myself. But yeah, that's smelling diesely. It's smelling a bit plasticky, a bit new. Still cold at the moment. Oh, here we go. 14 degrees Celsius. 16 degrees Celsius apparently. That's probably, oh, 80. Oh, that's the, oh, okay. This one's different to my, this one's very different to the one that we've got. It's got a lot more settings on it by the look of it. That's actually the temperature of the air coming out the heater, which, oh, it's warm. It's warm.
It's working! It's working!
We're working, yes, that's good. That saves a lot of messing about with conduits and cables up here and pulling through other cables and stuff, so I'm very pleased. It stinks of diesel right now, but again, I've got no muffler on there or anything, so this controller, so we got P voltage, that must be burner temperature quite possibly. I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments. I haven't read the instructions, so apologies, but I'd say that's burner temperature, so currently up to nearly 70 degrees. And that's it, that's all we've got at the moment. Oh, and it's saying it's 18 degrees in here. Which, yeah, I guess, maybe. The sun's on the van, so maybe, yeah. Oh yeah, that's hot. That's lovely. It's got that new heat smell, you know, where the internal oils are like burning off. Yeah, it's certainly no quieter than the last one, that's for sure. They are bloody loud. Yeah, they're very, very loud. If you are thinking of getting one, just be aware of that. Both the fan inside the van and the exhaust and the pump outside. They're very, very loud. There are things you can buy to quieten them down, different exhausts. There's now rubber coated cases for the pumps and stuff. It personally doesn't bother me. I'm not that bothered at all. I just like it to work. But yeah, you do see people walk past the van and look at the van and think, what the hell is that noise? Like a jet taking off. That's it. I'm gonna let this run for another 5 minutes just to make sure everything's okay, it doesn't go out on a fault code or anything, and then we'll start installing all the auxiliary parts. So I'm currently deciding where to put this exhaust. The original one was sort of around here, and I caught it a few times when driving off-road, but looking at it, I don't want it facing forward because all the spray will go in the exhaust. I don't want it near the filler neck of the fuel, which is here, because it's not majorly hot coming out of there, but it might be enough to melt it over time, who knows. So I think it's gonna have to go back where it was. I've got no real other choice because I'm surrounded by diesel tank, waste tank, moving parts of the vehicle are just behind the camera, so all the subframe will move, so obviously it can't be screwed to any of that. Obviously this step here is single skin, so if I put a screw through that, it'll go straight into the footwell. So definitely don't want to do that. So yeah, I think it's gonna have to go on here back to where it was, to be honest. One thing I will say, if you're thinking about installing one of these, is make sure you get some Jubilee clips. The ones that come with it are crap. They keep popping off, and yeah, I can't get them tight enough, to be honest, but I'm gonna have to mess with the bend in this a little bit and try and, yeah, something like that, I think. Keep it up and out of the way. If anyone else has any other ideas, then post it in the comments. Right, and there we have it. New exhaust, new air intake. All this has been tidied back up and sorted all out. So yeah, pretty pleased with that. I'm going to go in and fire it up again now, just make sure it works okay with all the new stuff on it. It will. I haven't really done much. Just to check it's all okay, make sure the air inlet is enough. I've had to clamp the hose a little bit to get the brace on it. It doesn't quite fit, but it's still leaving at least 20mm diameter there, I'd say. So that should be absolutely fine, but we'll double check all that, make sure everything's tight, make sure there's no leaks, and then we'll do the heater controller, and we're getting there now. It's fantastic. I'm really chuffed. It's gone way better than I thought it was going to. I really thought it was going to be an issue with that wiring loop. Right, that's all the electrical tidied away. I just chucked in a little bit of 50x50 panel trunking in there as well, and just tidied this up, a bit of sleeving on there, a bit of heat shrink as it goes through there. Those RJ45s will stay there. Right, and there we go. We've got everything all buttoned up now. The cabling in behind here is tidied away. Heater's currently running. I just thought I'd show you the setup on here. Some of you might be interested. I've set it to degrees centigrade. You can have it on a heat setting like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I prefer to have it so I can set a temperature and it will modulate. just personal preference. Last temperature in here is 17 degrees, target temperature 30 degrees. There's some really good YouTube videos. Van Flippintastic, I think the guy's called, and he's done some really interesting tests. You can also put this controller into plateau mode, or what I've heard other people call Alpine mode. I don't know where the word Alpine's come from because it's not mentioned in the instructions anywhere. Now, I thought it was, at first, reading about it, hearing about Alpine mode, I thought it was some sort of like frost protection. Like a frostat in your domestic boiler, that type of thing. If it gets too cold, it will just it will come on and modulate just to make sure that none of the pipes freeze, that type of thing. It's not. It just basically slows the pump down and uses less fuel. So if you put it in Alpine mode, which I can now, so we're rocking here. Yeah, you see this little symbol come up? It's like a mountain. Why it's a mountain, I don't really know. All it does is slow the diesel heat, slow the pump. So I can hear the pump is just slowed down. It's just it's just a fuel save. From what I understand of it anyway, someone might have some more information on that. I've only literally conducted 10 minutes worth of tests so far. Regarding efficiency, I haven't done any tests, just some other YouTube videos I've seen. These diesel heaters will last about 5.5 hours on 1 litre of fuel, which is pretty impressive. So I don't know what our one did before. We never really let the diesel tank get that low. So in Alpine mode, the temperature, burner temperature is adjusted ever so slightly. It's just come down to 200 degrees, or just dropped below now. But from what I can see, Alpine mode is literally just slowing the pump down. That's all it's doing. Maybe it's because you can leave it on overnight just in like a slow mode and it just puts out a little bit of heat to stop it freezing up in the van, which if that is the case is a very good idea, and I do like it. It's not explained very well in here. It's called plateau model operation. It just tells you how to operate it, but it doesn't tell you the actual purpose of what it does. But I'm sure there's plenty of information on the internet on what it exactly does. See, it's still early days, but just to give you a rough comparison, the exhaust flow rate and temperature is so much hotter than the last one, which must mean that the old one is well coked up. So look out for our next video. I'm going to have this one stripped down on the bench. We're going to have a really good look at it and see what 4,500 hours and 5 years looks like in one of these cheap little diesel heaters. Really appreciate you watching. Any questions, drop them below. I'll see you on the next one.